my teaching side and my researcher, side would pop up into the picture. I used to say, I want to build a meaningful business. I want to live a meaningful life. I want a beautiful family. I want to meet my soulmate, have the best relationship I can with having the fulfillment. I want to be rich and wealthy and powerful. I want to be a leader. I was kind of like this teenager who said, I want it all. We have three things we can control. The first one is we can control or govern our thoughts. The second thing is we can control and govern our behaviors. The third thing, we can govern and control our choices, the choices we make. And if you can govern all three, you are actually governing the results you get. Maybe it's not all about business and it's not about earning the money. Maybe it's about serving humanity. So I'm here to remind you that. So welcome to Nevcap. First of all, I will start by explaining who we are and what we're doing. But before that, I would like to introduce myself as the founder of Nevcap. I would like to introduce you with my story and how I came up with the idea of Nevcap and with the idea of accelerator or creating an accelerator. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was 22. I built my first company when I was 22. At the age of 24, I was leading a group of 85 people. And I kept on building businesses, sold them, kept on building other businesses. I jumped into the startup world 5 years ago, built my own startup, and then I was a solo entrepreneur, solo founder for a long time. It was a very painful process. And then I had my co-founders, and now we have in Turkey, again, we have a wellness venture company. We buy wellness companies, we buy wellness apps, help them grow, we sell them. We also have an AI fund, which is called 5 Stars. I have my own company since 23 years, which is Nevsah Institute, which is an educational company. I'm also an investor, angel investor, LP. I've been investing in startups for over 5 years. Since I came to UK, I started investing in startups, and I have been in the startup world for over 7-8 years now. And in the startup world, as you well know, there are accelerators and incubators and investors and investment spaces and everything. And I have joined a couple of accelerators myself. I have also met with a lot of people who are mentoring. I had mentors along the journey. And because my background is behavioral health sciences, and I'm first of all, before being an entrepreneur and before being a founder and investor, because I'm a teacher, and I'm a well-known human behavior expert, even though as a founder, as an entrepreneur, my teaching side and my researcher side would pop up into the picture, and I kept on questioning what's missing in the picture, because we usually hear about founders and investors that in the startup world and even in the classic business world, only 3 to 4% of founders really succeed. Only 3 to 4% of founders have the capacity or have the ability to do what I did. Like when I look at my journey, when I was in my own entrepreneurial journey, I built my first company, like I said, when I was 22. It was around wellness. And I built a yoga center, franchised, opened up yoga centers. That was my first business. My second business was a local TV station with my ex-husband. We had the local TV station. It was a very painful process. We sold it and all that. The media sector. And then afterwards, I kept my educational journey. I kept also getting educations on self-mastery, trying different methods. And personally, I was very much interested in how can we grow and expand in all areas of life? Because personally, I wanted to, besides the entrepreneurial journey, I wanted to master all areas of life. And I remember having this idea when I was in my teenage years, 13, 14, I used to say, I want to build a meaningful business. I want to live a meaningful life. I want a beautiful family. I want to meet my soulmate, have the best relationship I can with having the fulfillment. I want to be rich and wealthy and powerful. I want to be a leader. I was kind of like this teenager who said, I want it all. And I somehow knew I would be able to do that, but I didn't know how. So I just knew that I had to find the methods, because I was reading a lot of philosophy, and I was also diving deeper into human behavior and thinking habits and why do we behave certain ways. And as I kept on researching, I found out that the way we think plays a big role in how we act, how we behave, and the results we get in life, because we have three things we can control. The first one is we can control or govern our thoughts. The second thing is we can control and govern our behaviors. The third thing, we can govern and control our choices, the choices we make. And if you can govern all three, you are actually governing the results you get. You actually can determine the results you get in life. But if you can't govern your thoughts, which is also aligned with emotions, if you can't govern your emotions, like Warren Buffett says, if you can't govern your emotions, you can't govern your money. If you can't govern your emotions, if you can't govern your thoughts, don't even think about starting to invest. It's like, as individually, for us to get investment ready, we need to first be governing our emotions and our thoughts. So I thought, okay, I'm going to find ways to govern my thoughts, to govern my behaviors, and reach my goals. So I started with coaching. I was a yoga teacher back then. I started with coaching, with my behavioral sciences researches and studies continued. I added different tools, and one day I met with a method called, I was meditating, by the way. I started classic Vedic meditation, also using coaching methods, joining all kinds of self-mastery or self-improvement courses. I met with amazing teachers like Tony Robbins, like Joe Dispenza, like Dr. Demartini. I worked with most teachers around the world. And I kind of like, even though I thought I was on top of things, something was missing. And 22 years ago, I met with an amazing method, which is called breath work and breath coaching. And I was like, wow, this is really powerful. Breath is really powerful, because it is kind of like the bridge between me and my mind. It's kind of like the bridge between the body and the mind. And if you follow that bridge, you start getting insights, and you start intuitively knowing which way to go. And I loved it. And I created a sector from scratch, an industry from scratch, which didn't exist in Turkey. So sometimes now when we work with founders, and I have founder friends, like my co-founders are serial entrepreneurs as well. They sold their companies for $50 million, and they think it's a big success. But I'm like, okay, you are great founders. You did succeed. It's great. But it's like, I have created a sector from scratch, an industry from scratch, and maybe there's something missing over here. Maybe there is a bigger thing in life which is more mission-driven. Maybe it's not all about business, and it's not about earning the money. Maybe it's about serving humanity. And I'm here actually to share my experience around serving humanity, because I'm a strong believer that, not believer, I am certain that with all the experience, life is a whole. And if we are only focusing on business and only focusing on building a business and earning money, we are missing a big part of the journey, which is called life. And then, at the end of the story, like I said, my co-founders selling their companies, but not feeling fulfilled. I have met enough founders to now know that if you haven't created something meaningful and sustainable, and if you haven't yet found your mission and purpose, if you're not driven from a inner inspiration, even though you build businesses and sell them, those businesses may not be sustainable, and those businesses may not be, giving service, and then you don't feel fulfilled. So at the end of the story, I think in the business world, wealth building, companies and everything, we're all interested in personal fulfillment. So I'm here to remind you that, because if you forget that everything you do is for actually personal fulfillment, whether it be business, whether it be relationships, it's like we are after fulfilling a void. We humans have voids inside. And that's true for every human. And that void is also kind of like our calling. If you find the void, if you find where you need the most fulfillment, you find your inner calling and your true mission and your true purpose. And today, I would like to talk about that, because I think that's kind of like the driving force, which gave me the privilege 23 years ago to build a sector and industry from scratch, zero. Nobody even knew about what I was doing, breath coaching and breathing and coaching. It just didn't exist in Turkey. And because of our government, the religious government and everything, they thought it was some kind of a religious something. And we had problem after problems. Like I would train breath coaches, certify them, and then their businesses would be shut off. So I had to do something about it. We built a federation. And to keep the story short, I had the privilege to create something from scratch and make it a legal job, a legal sector. And I didn't only build one company, I did build over 2,000 companies with the breath coaches. And that could only happen because I was mission driven, because I was fully clear. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to just keep on helping people master their lives. And it doesn't even matter if I get paid or not. I'm going to just do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to keep on speaking about it. I'm going to keep on helping people master their lives, because that was my value and that was my void. Like I said in the beginning, I remember even when I was a teenager, I would think to myself, I would like to just grow and expand in all areas of life. And that was my void. Like I had to, and that's I think a tough void to fill, because you're like, I'm not going to be fulfilled until I see I'm growing and expanding in all areas of life. But that's me. So it doesn't have to be you. You probably have different inner callings. But in my journey, it was like, I have to be on top of all. So I have been on top of all, because if you're interested in one thing for over 2 decades and finding formulas, I was interested in finding formulas for my own life, for my own self-mastery. And I kept on researching, I kept on reading about it, I kept on building formulas, I kept talking about it, teaching it. Over 40,000 people joined my courses, seminars, talks. I influenced over 10 million people around the world, usually mostly Turkish community, but Turkish community living all around the world, Turkish British, Turkish American, Turkish European. And at age 35, which would be interesting for you guys, because you're interested, or for our founders who will be watching this video later, I became a multimillionaire when I was 35. I met my soulmate again when I was 35, and I'm married with him happily ever after. I met my soul group, which I call my business colleagues, which I've been building amazing businesses hand in hand for over 10 years now. And the most meaningful thing I can tell you about my life is I have the family, so I am where I wanted to be when I was a teenager, in my, when I was 13 or 14. So I made that happen, and now what I'm teaching is the possibility or the methods and the formulas where other people can make it happen. So I'm a self-mastery teacher who did it for herself, because you don't usually meet self-mastery teachers or self-development teachers who themselves did it, because the people who did it, who can grow in all areas of life, are busy growing in all areas of life. They're not interested in teaching people. And the teachers usually, because they are students as well, they are interested in teaching and being a student, they have still not had the ability to grow and expand in all areas of life. And which we're going to dive deeper into today is I'm going to teach you something about values and values determination process and the values factor we teach in Nevsah Institute, which I think will be kind of like interesting awakening process for you guys as well about your life. It's going to be a learning process. I've been teaching our values factor in different universities, in master degree programs, in groups like this, and also for my to my students. It's a very simple process which we're going to deep dive today, and I'm certain that you will love it. We, all of us have different value sets, and when you look at human behavior, what lies at the core of behavioral health sciences is that a human being does not act, does not behave, unless he or she is motivated about something, either motivated about a result, either motivated about something. So when you look at individuals, how we behave, how we act, why we do the things we do, because that was my biggest question, like, why do I do the things? How do I decide? You know, where does that decision come from? Like, because he decides differently, he decides differently, she decides, like, how do I decide? How do I, like, want something? Or why do I want the things I want and other people want other things? You know, they want to live elsewhere or they want to do something. The why, so the big why, which lies at the core of human behavior, are values and priorities and who you are in your essence, your true purpose, or the existence of you, who you are truly in the universe. Because we are given names, and when we introduce ourselves, we're like, I'm Nevsah, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, I'm this, I'm that. But if you just rip people off, and besides those names, who you are in your essence, which doesn't have a name, which doesn't have a structure, but it is more universal, that is actually your big why. That is why you do the things you do. And when we understand our why, it creates a big shift in the universe as well, but also in how we live and how we experience our lives. And I have experienced that many years ago. The moment I was clear on my why, everything started shifting. And I think this is going to be, what I'm going to be telling you now is going to be really interesting for you, because there is this, especially in the startup world. Like I said, I joined incubators and accelerators, and I met with amazing mentors. I worked with amazing mentors. Right now, I am still managing the Kara Mehmet family's investments over here in UK and also in Turkey. We have Nevcap, we have the AI fund, so I am connected with, I'm LP. I am connected with VCs and LPs. I spend most of my time right now, for the past 6 years, in this space with investors and with the LPs and with VCs and angel investors. We have Nevcap is also an angel syndicate group. We have around 65 investors in Nevcap, angel investors. So we lead those angel investors. They either co-invest with us or they invest in Nevcap, and we decide on our investments. So I've been in this space, and what I've been seeing is, especially when it comes to investment and investing in that space, the advanced investor or a experienced investor, when they meet 1,000 founders, when they're in front of 1,000 founders, they pick, and you probably heard the word, investors invest in founders. Investors invest in founders, that's period. Especially on seed, pre-seed level, or at the idea level, definitely. We're not interested in market or size or this and that. We just invest in founders. And Nevcap is an accelerator that is dedicated to only investing in founders. And we don't see the investment journey as you have a project, we invest in the founder, and we just invest in the project. No, I think it's a long-lasting journey where we want to support our founders in their self-mastery path so that we can keep on investing in your new project and the next project, because I know from my own experience that if I can support you in becoming a master, like I did in all areas of life, if I can support you in governing your behaviors, your actions, your decisions, your thoughts, and if I can help you master your life, govern your whole life, you're going to be unstoppable. And I wouldn't want to invest in just one project. I would like to invest you lifetime, because those founders are lifetime founders, those individuals. And how I came up with that is because people who joined our Business Mastery program have been getting amazing results. And I was like, okay, I want to be part of this story. Coming back to the investor space, so when they meet with meet with founders, usually investors, pre-seed level, seed level, invest in founder himself or herself. And I haven't yet gotten no, that's not the case answer from any investor yet. So when I ask them, to an experienced investor, when you meet with 100 founders or when you meet with 1,000 founders, can you pick the one who is mission-driven, dedicated, who has a crystal clear mind, who is literally unstoppable, and has the ability to govern herself, himself? Can you spot him or her? They're like, definitely. And I would invest in them. And I had the same experience myself when I built my own startup, which is a breathwork app, because that's kind of like one of my missions. I want to help people, individuals, become healthy and well as master all areas of life. So when I built Breath Hub, it wasn't hard to get the investment. But the way I got the investment is, it's kind of like a joke. I remember the time when, like, Jason Calacanis is one of our investors, and he's the biggest angel investor in the world. And he's a cool dude, and he has, if you haven't watched his videos or listened to his podcast, I would suggest you do. He's so funny. So what they do in Launch Accelerator is they gather all the applications. There are usually around 700 applications. They go over the applications, they ask for a video, you send the video, and then they filter, and then they invite around 40, 50 founders to pitch. You have 3 minutes on Zoom to pitch. They listen, they vote. And I was in that 49 people, a group of 49 people. It was so it started after 9 p.m., sorry, because it was in San Francisco time. And the time I was pitching, it was 10:30. I was about to go to sleep because you know the joke, I wanted to grow up so that I can, stay up after 9. It turns out that the bedtime is 9. So my bedtime is usually 9:30. So it's like 10:30. I'm exhausted and I'm waiting for my turn. I'm in my bed, literally, with my computer. I'm going to pitch. And I didn't even I'm like, whatever, I'll just pitch. So I did my pitch for 3 minutes. And I was choosing number 1. And it was hilarious because Jason said, your pitch deck sucks. I don't think your business is a good idea. I don't think there is yet a market for it, because I'm building a breathwork app. Like, how many people are interested in breath? It's not like, a huge market yet. But, he said, you're such a charismatic individual and you're such a charismatic woman. You just know what you do. You're just so clear and so dedicated, and you have this energy. I want to invest in you. That's why I chose you on. Your pitch deck sucks. You're horrible. Your whole business is horrible. But I got interested in you. You're like, she's doing, and we became friends. And then the company had to pivot and become a wellness venture, studio, because it is doing okay. We're doing like $60,000 per month MRR. It's good for that business, but still, it's like it doesn't show signs of exiting in 3 to 4 years. So we were like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to create a bigger venture firm, bigger firm, and bigger company. And then we pivoted, and now we have the Welly Labs Venture Studio, which is doing great, by the way. We're launching a new product, and we're launching a new app, and we're launching a new company. We're building our own wellness detox center and centers and franchise. So it's like, that's going great. So when I come back to Nevcap, the reason why I wanted to build Nevcap is in the space, when chatting with VCs and LPs, and especially in the accelerators, if you have joined accelerators, they teach or they tell you to get clear in your mind. Like they tell you very cliche things and in such a shallow way. Usually, when you look at business accelerators and when you look at VCs, starting from Y Combinator to all accelerators in the world, they're teaching the exact same things. So it's a no-brainer right now, like how to create a pitch deck. It's like, duh, it's like it's written everywhere. There are over 1,000 books about how to create the pitch deck. If you're a founder and you can't create a pitch deck, we have a problem because it's out there. It's so easy. Elevator pitch, so easy. Don't tell, show, okay, I got that. Do this and do that. It's like cliche, all the information, thousands of founders joining accelerators, thousands of founders getting mentorship, thousands of founders, if not 10,000, tens of thousands of founders. We are as founders, we're being taught the same things over and over again, and still 99% fail. With classic businesses, maybe it's 95% or maybe it's 90%, but startups, we know 99% fail. And I was like, we're teaching the same thing in accelerators or investors, telling the same things over and over again. And when you look at Y Combinator and all the accelerators or the VCs, they keep on saying being mission-driven is important. Okay, but how do I become someone who is mission-driven, who is teaching that? Or, having a clear purpose, being clear in your own mind, and having self-governance and governance and self-resilience. Of course it's important. Self-resilience of a founder is the most important thing. It's the most important thing, because if you're not self-resilient, all of the founders, forget about it. You crack. And when I speak with my friends who are VCs and investors, they usually tell me things like, the founder himself is cracking, I see it, but I can't help him. I tell him to go to a wellness something or do this, but it's just so shallow. And with our tools, what I've been seeing is, what I've been doing for the past 22 years is I've been finding formulas and methods to help people master their lives, to help people master their thoughts. And I've been living my own life with a crystal clear mind by loving what I do, by doing what I love. I do not need a vacation from my business, and I don't need to be even working right now, and I love working. So I myself, and with my students, we kind of like find a formula where people can be truly mission-driven, but truly, where they can find their why, their big why, and become unstoppable. And I was like, I also invested in a couple of companies and seen the founders crush. And when it comes to startups or the business world, you all well know that if you don't quit, your business will keep on growing. The problem with the startup world or the problem with the business world is the founder, the entrepreneur, decides not to go on with what they're doing. Because if you don't quit, you pivot or you do this, it's like you keep on going. But the biggest problem right now in the investment world is founders who quit, who are like, I can't do this anymore. So my question is, how do the founders, when do the founders say, I can't do this? Or why do the founders say, I can't do this anymore? The reason is because they are not mission-driven. I do not remember a day since I got clear on my purpose in life and my mission and my big why, I don't remember a day, an hour, even a minute of my life where I was like, I can't go on anymore, because it hasn't been ever about the business, it hasn't been about the money, it has been around a bigger idea, a bigger mission that is even bigger than me and my daily life. And I don't remember a time when I was like, oh, this is too much and I can't go on. It just doesn't happen when you find your true purpose, your universal purpose. So I was like, I lost some money, of course, like all investors did, because of founders who did quit. And I was like, I'm not going to go investing my time and money and energy to people who will quit it at the end. So I'm like, how can I support founders so that they don't quit? Because then I can lower my risk as an investor, and then I can, lower our risks as an investor. And when I started speaking about this, I was just thinking about the founders I invested, and also the companies I invested. Like, how can I help them, and how can I help them with my tools and with my self-mastery methods? And then when I started speaking with VCs and with friends and with other investors, they were like, we need those methods as well. I know 3 founders who need these methods. I know 5 founders who need these methods. I want to, lead them into your courses, lead them. And then I was like, okay, so this is clearly missing. This is what's missing right now in the startup world, in the technology world, or in business world right now. We are not supporting individuals find their purpose, connect with their essence, their values and priorities enough, so that they can create businesses around what they love doing. So I usually ask the founders in our accelerator and in our business mastery program this question, which is, I think, why Nevcap exists. If I gave you all the money and all the time, what would you be doing for the rest of your life? If I can lead you to create a business around your answer to that, there is no way you can fail. Because you're just going to be doing what you're doing. You're just going to be doing what you love, loving what you do, which will make you unstoppable. So it's like, for a founder, as a founder myself, but as a founders I invest in as well, I would not like to invest in a founder who is looking at his or her business as a business, first of all, because I'm a human behavior expert. I know how things work when it comes to human behavior. If it's not an innate inspiration, if you have a business and you need outside motivation, forget about it. You're not going to be the 1%. You're not going to be the ones who succeed or who hugely succeed. If you are doing a business which is only aligned with one of your values, and if you're doing a business and if you named your business, labeled your business as business, and you're just working 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day for your business, forget about it. That's not a founder. That's not the entrepreneurial journey. I am literally working 24 hours, which means I even think about not my company, my mission, my purpose, because that's who I am. I cannot not think about my original purpose. This is like essence. You cannot not be your essence. You cannot not be yourself. So because I am myself, just like all the others, I think of certain things constantly, which is, for example, human behavior, and which is self-mastery, which is business or growing meaningful businesses. So it's like, I am my company. I am my business. And that's why I keep on thinking about it 24 hours. And that's how I built a whole sector, a whole industry from scratch, because I was working 24 hours. And I was literally unstoppable. And I still experience it, because if you are, as a founder, if you are and your business are married, and if you are one, Because we have limited time, limited energy, and limited mind capacity, the way the businesses will grow and be highly successful, the way founders will be highly successful is only by if you use all your time, all your mental capacity, all your energy to your business. So I was like, I'm only going to invest in those kinds of founders. I'm not investing anymore in founders who just work 8 hours a day. Why? Because there are some founders who work 24 hours a day like me. They're going to be the ones who succeed. Why am I going to just invest in someone who's working 8 hours? And this doesn't mean that I don't spend time with my family, I don't spend time with my kids. But even if when I'm with my family, because my focus is, my essence is aligned with my business, even when I'm with my family, I have business ideas, very inspirational business ideas popping in my head, like popcorn, pop, 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 pop. And then when I'm with my husband, we usually speak about businesses and wealth and management and all that, and pop, pop, pop again. And when I'm with my friends, these are the topics. So it's like when you live inside your business, everything becomes, it's like when you are aligned with your core, with your essence, and when you have built a business around that, it's just amazing. And I was like, why don't we teach this to the founders? This is like missing. Because this is the difference between a normal human being and a human being who is connected with his God self, which is called in Greek mythology the telos. And this has been known for centuries, as you probably imagine. I'm not the first one who's talking about telos. I'm not the first one who's talking about God self. It's been talked about hundreds and hundreds of years. Humans, when they find their void, when they find their purpose, their inner calling, and align their daily activities, align their businesses with that, become half gods. And that has been taught in philosophy, in ancient traditions. If you are someone like me who would like to go beyond human limits, the limits of human mental capacity, if you want to go beyond that, if you want to go beyond the limits of your physical body, beyond the limits of the laws of physics, it is possible. But it is only possible when you are clear on your purpose, clear on who you are, your essence, and just dedicated to yourself, that essence and that purpose. So we invest in, that's why we invest in founders. We're empowering mission-driven entrepreneurs, and we help humans understand their mission, have a clear vision, and build a business or transform their business aligned with their vision, because that's the only way you will be highly, highly successful. And I know how we can do that. I'm an expert on that. So that's exactly why we built Nevcap. That is why we started this project.